Hi, you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Audrey's reading area. Alexa, what time is Audrey's reading area?
Here's something I found on the web.
Alexa, stop. Alexa, what time is Audrey's reading area?
Audrey reads in her area live at 8 o'clock p.m.
Live at 8, you guys. Live at 8. Thanks for being here. Don't forget to click that like button, click that share button, then go on over to YouTube and smash the subscribe button there at Audrey's reading area. Well, Multicultural Wednesdays, I always have to read a book about someone's culture, other people's cultures. This one is called The Village of Round and Square Houses. But first, I want to shout out my grandbabies, Korea, Sanaa, DJ, or D3, David the Third, and Kaden. Miss you guys, love you guys. Pray that I get to see you guys soon. So, The Village of Round and Square Houses, written and illustrated by Anne Grifalconi. Now, look at this illustration of the book. Isn't that nice? Beautiful, right? Beauty. So, I'm going to put on my glasses so that I can be able to read this book properly to you guys. The Village of Round and Square Houses. So these are the round houses, I'm going to guess, because it's round. These are the square houses. Let's see what it says. This village really exists just the way it always has, in the remote hills of the Cameroons in Central Africa. It is almost entirely isolated with no paved roads closer to it than a full 8 hours away. 8 hours away. None but the most adventurous visitor would dare risk the steep and bumpy rocky clay paths leading to the thatch-roofed village that cling to the side of an almost extinct volcano. Today, the village of Tos remains. I know, for I have been there. The homesick girl who brought us there told us its story. So this should be interesting. I did not read it in advance, but it should be interesting, right? Let's jump right into this book. It was not until I was almost full grown and left my village that I found our village was like no other. For the men live in square houses and the women in round ones. So the men lived in the square houses, the women lived in the round ones. Wow. To me, this seemed the natural order of things. But what is it like, you ask? I will tell you how it was and is for me. I grew up on my grandmother's farm in the village of Tos that lies at the foot of Naka Mountain in the Bemeni Hills of West Africa. We planted yams and corn and tobacco and the finest coffee grown in the Cameroons. Our village was always happy and peaceful, a good place for any boy or girl to grow up. Every evening, after a day of work in the fields, Uncle Domo and Grandpa Oma came to our round house for supper. We children would hurry to put out the low wooden stool for Grandpa Oma, for he was the eldest and closer to the ancestors' spirit. The ancestor spirits, wow. Then we would unroll the grass mat for Uncle Domo, the next oldest, and was only proper and respectful. And there they would sit proudly in their bright robes, Grandpa Oma above, seated on his stool, hands on knees, and Uncle Damo seated below. Then they would ask to see the children. One by one, we would come forward from the narrow doorway, and one by one, we would be lifted to sit upon those high and bony knees, and Grandpa would ask each of us, "What have you learned today?" We would squirm and make an answer and wriggle off those sharp knees and run to help Mama and Grandma Tika, prepare the meal to come. Supper might be fish or a rabbit or ground nut stews or yam. But always, I would be the one to pound and soften the white cassava root to make the fufu we eat at every meal. Then Mama would cook the fufu and beat it till it was white and fluffy. And she would pile the food into big bowls with round handles, just right for our small hands to hold. Sounds good. Then we would march into the big room, our bare feet gripping the earthen floor. The little ones went first, carrying the bowl of heated water and towels to wash the hands before and after eating. Then the older ones would carry in the stew, spicy and steaming, smelling, oh, so good. And I would come in last, bearing the fufu. Grandpa, as the eldest, would always eat first, dipping the first 3 fingers in one hand into the fufu, scooping up a small portion when he dipped quickly into the stew bowl to flavor each bite with the spicy meat and juices. Then, in order of age, Grandma, Uncle Damo, and sometimes Mama, if she left the cook fire, would finish their meal in the same way, and we children would follow last, making sure to leave the bowl clean. After supper, when the men went back to their square house to smoke and talk of farming and fishing in the old days of the hunt, Grandpa would leave some tobacco for Grandma. He knew she liked to smoke it later, when everything was peaceful. Then she would sit alone in the moonlight, looking up at the dark slope of Naka Mountain, rising high above. I remember one night I sat beside her. Grandma Tika took a last puff on her pipe, then pointed with it to the sky above our village. You see old Mother Naka smoking so peacefully there? I leaned way back and looked up. She leaned way back and looked up to see old Naka's breath rising in lazy puffs of smoke, soft and gray in the night sky. And you remember that sometimes in the night we hear old Naka snoring in her sleep. I nodded, pleased that Grandma felt I was old enough to notice such things. Well, it is by these signs that we know she is content, happy. Now we live in peace with Naka and the spirits of our ancestors, but it was not always so. In the days, Grandma fixed me with a stare and began to rock with the tale, for she was the best storyteller in the whole village. In the days of long ago, long, long ago, the people of this village lived in houses of any sort, either square or round. It did not matter. Then, one peaceful night, before anyone alive remembers, old Naka began to groan and rumble and awoke from a long sleep. The villagers were frightened and ran out of their houses and hid in the bushes at the foot of the mountain. A great wind came up, and the ancestor spirits in the trees cried out to warn them. Even the rocks began to tremble. Suddenly, the black night was split open like a coconut, and a great white burst of light rose like the sun. Then the voice of our Mother Naka thundered out over all. Boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Wow. And the people cried out to Naka and prayed where they were lying down, hands pressing the earth, asking, what have we done to so angry you? So these are the people right here laying down. Can you see them? And praying. And this is the volcano that seems to be erupting. All through the night, old Naka spoke to them. shouting her anger to the skies, as red rivers of lava flowed down her sides. The morning sun rose, but no one could see him. The anger of Naka was too great, and ashes and smoke filled the air. Finally, no one remembers when, Naka spoke no more. Slowly, carefully, the people lifted their heads and looked about. Everything was covered with ashes, even themselves. Everyone looked like a gray ghost. No one knew who stood next to them or who came behind. So they stood there, trembling with fear, but grateful to be alive. Naka had spared them. In illustrations, these illustrations are beautiful. Still covered with ashes, the men, women, and children faced the mountain together and went back to claim their homes. But when they came to the burned out village, only two houses, two were left standing. One square and one round. One square and one round. Right here. One square and one round. Only two houses were left. The people saw that only these two houses had been spared by Naka, and they wondered to themselves, why these? Was it a sign? But the village chief had no time for such questions, and he called them together. We must begin to rebuild our village now. He pointed to the ash-covered people. You, tall gray things, you go live in the square house. And you, round gray things, go live in the round house. And you, small gray things over there, you go pick the small gray stones out of the fields so we can plant our crops again. And so it was done. The women lived in the round house with the children, and the women talked and laughed, preparing food for everyone. The men stayed in the square houses and told each other tall stories and planted yams and corn each day in the new rich soil. And the children made a game out of clearing the fields of small gray stones and went swimming and fishing in the long afternoons. And no one forgot to thank Naka for sparing their lives and giving them back such fine crops from her good earth. Grandma smiled down at me, and so you see, it has been to this day. For the women have decided they enjoy getting together to talk and laugh and sing. And the men have become used to being together and relaxing in their own place. Looks like a very fun village, doesn't it? And the children, Osa, is it not true the children still keep the fields clear of little gray stones? Yes, I laughed. And we still swim and play in the afternoon, and we bring home the fish we catch for supper, and we all get together then. Grandma laughed too. So you see, Osa, we live together peacefully here because each one has a place to be apart and a time to be together. She took me by the hand and turned back to the roundhouse, and that is how our way came about and will continue. Wow. Till Naka speaks again. The end. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful illustrations. Beautiful illustrations. The end. Wow. So I'm going to read a little excerpt from the back. It says, and Grifalconi visited the village of Tos and learned its story from a young woman who grew up there. She has had a long-standing interest in African people and cultures. Miss Grifalconi is the award-winning illustrator of over a lot of books. So this is a picture of her visiting the village there. And one of the houses. Wow. The village of round and square houses. Wow. You guys enjoyed listening? I'm glad you did. All right, all right, all right. Don't forget, you guys, click that like button, share it, then go to YouTube and smash that subscribe button for me, you guys. Go ahead and smash it up, smash it up. All right. I need you guys to subscribe for me, and it'll benefit you too, because you'll get notifications that I done posted another video. So go ahead. I know you love listening to me read, and I hope to encourage you guys to pick up a book on your own and read. Reading, you learn a lot from reading. So thank you for being here. Shout out to everybody that's here listening. Shout out to everybody that shares this video. Thank you so much. Here at Audrey's Reading Area, every day of the week, Monday through Friday. I will see you again tomorrow. I'll see ya tomorrow. It's only one day away. I will see you soon. Don't forget, Audrey's Reading Area, subscribe. Tell everybody to subscribe. See you soon.